Hello there. It is getting to be the season that we have less to do outside, and what we do have is very samey. So I've been thinking about what we can do to have some different content. You'll notice that this video is a cooking video. I have had to cut gluten out of my diet for the most part. Um, a tiny bit doesn't seem to hurt me, like the tiny bit that's in soy sauce, which isn't really much at all. That doesn't seem to cause me any problems. Probably because I can't eat enough of it to really cause me a problem. That I guess for Crohn's, people who have Crohn's disease, that's a different story. But I do not apparently have Crohn's disease. Um, so I thought I might help some other people out and fill in some content. This is actually related to another video that I'm doing that'll come out next, probably, maybe the one after next. Um, I needed some cornbread to go with what I was making. It's a video about what I use some of the things that I harvest for. And you'll see that video coming out, and an appearance by this cornbread, no less, that you're about to see made. We will have more videos coming up about the plans that we have. A little bit of tractor content, a little bit of motorcycle content, maybe a little harvesting content. I think the big field is just going to be left as it is until it is cooling off enough, and then I'll go out there, cut it all by hand with the spinny blade on a stick, plow it all under with, or till it all under specifically, with some fertilizer as well in there. And I think that's going to be next year's pepper bed. They need less water, and getting water out to that big field is kind of harder. So that'll be some content coming up over the cooler months. You will see me harvesting, or at least attempting to harvest. We will see potatoes and sweet potatoes, and maybe planting garlic. I'm going to try to plant some of what I got. I don't know if it'll work or not, but the content will be a little bit different. I might sandwich videos like this between some of the more outdoorsy things. There's also a mystery that we have to solve that I've talked about before. There's a mystery on the farm, and we need to address that. That'll be in the cooler months, so it's still a little hot for that. And yeah, we'll have our planning meeting if I didn't say that already, and talk about what we're gonna do. We'll also wrap up some things. Talk about how we did do. One bit of news that I have is my company approved my application for side work, which means I can, next year I will open my own company. And I'll keep my main job. None of that's changing. But I'm going to open my own company and try to sell some vegetables. Predominantly online. Maybe an odd sales visit here and there. It won't take up many hours of my time. All of the growing that I do is my hobby. It's just the selling that's not part of the hobby. And man, I can't preserve it all. I don't want to see it go to waste, so I'm going to sell it. I don't expect that to be a big business. My main job is still my main job. And funny thing about Japanese labor law, people talk about how hard it is to work in Japan and everything, and how many, they call them black companies here, that are really bad about hours. And there's still a lot, but the laws have recently been changing, and individual employees can get in trouble for not accurately reporting their own time and hours, which, if they get caught, is bad. They used to have, people used to clock out and then just go sit down and continue working. So they are really cracking down on things like that. So I actually have a maximum number of total hours that I can work. So my side job can't go over that. My main job can't go over that. They cannot go over it combined either. So if I actually plan on working a lot of hours doing the whole farm sales thing, I might have to worry, but I don't think I'm going to have to worry. 60 hours a month is a maximum I can do. And I'm thinking, except for the first month where I set everything up, it's probably going to be like 3 to, well, let's call it 8 to 16 a month, 1 to 2 days of sales work and paperwork and accounting work and all of that. So we have that to look forward to next year. But I have rambled on way long enough. Please do stick around and see the gluten-free cornbread recipe. Uh, Not one that I've seen on the internet before, so hopefully it's new for you. It's new for me. I'm kind of combined two recipes to get it. And if you're enjoying this, please give us a like and a subscribe. It really helps the algorithm understand who we are, what we do, and get this video in front of more people, which helps more people see it. And maybe someday me get a paycheck from it. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Thank you all for watching, and enjoy the cornbread.
All right. Excuse me. Kitchen's a little spicy this morning. We are back, and we are going to make gluten-free rice flour cornbread. Please ignore the sound of the pressure cooker. Hopefully it doesn't come through too badly in the audio. Just canola oil, rice powder, as they call it, rice flour, baking powder, 1 egg, salt, milk, and cornmeal. This is from Tommy's for our folks in Japan who want to get this. And you are also going to witness me converting a recipe to metric. I much prefer to do things by weight. It makes things much more consistent most of the time. Make sure the battery that I have dangling off of you doesn't fall. So we are going to do a little conversion so that I can just put it in 1 or 2 bowls and be done without having to dirty all of my measuring scoops and stuff as well. But for this time, you are going to see cups. Now, these are not US cups, so if you're in the US, this recipe is not going to work, which is one of the reasons. Well, actually, it'll work. You just might have to tweak it a little bit. But anyway, that's one of the reasons we're switching to doing things by weight, is it doesn't matter which size of scoop you use. If you're using things within the same system, it should mostly work. I believe this recipe is originally from All Recipes. I did not write it down years ago. So first, 1/3 of 1 cup of canola oil. Should be about 75 grams. Oh, 78 grams. Write that down. Next, we need 1 cup of milk. I haven't eaten breakfast yet, so I'm a little shaky. $265 grams. All right, done with 1/3 of a cup. And we are done with the scale for our liquid ingredients. We are going to add 1 large egg. We're going to set that aside for a second, since our workspace is crowded. As soon as I find a place that is not on top of my oven that is getting hot. Oh yeah, we want to do that. So, going to the other side here. Let's get you more on the level. I am on my lower 3rd rack because I don't have a middle rack. Oh yeah, how big are Japanese ovens? Mine is bigger than a lot. and it doesn't make it to my elbow. And it is slightly smaller in this dimension. So anyway, we want to do oven, 200 degrees. Get that going. Turn around. Now, dry ingredient time. Put this milk in the fridge. So I'm going to start with the baking powder and the salt. Should be 3.5 teaspoons. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, about 14 grams of baking powder. If you do 15, it's not going to kill anything. So we want about a teaspoon of salt. About 6. Oh, I forgot sugar. Yeah, sugar in this recipe too. How sweet you make this is up to you. I cut back what was in the original recipe. The original recipe, I believe, was like 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and that's ridiculous. Done with the measuring spoon. And we only need one other measuring cup, which is the 1/2 cup measure. So we are going to do slightly less than 1/2 cup. Still might be a lot. 60 grams, nice round number, I love it. Write that down, 60 grams sugar. So this isn't open yet. This is just for display purposes. We have our cornmeal. This is fine ground. We are going to do a cup. $180 grams, I'll take it. Now here, is where we get into a situation. So this recipe is based on flour, wheat flour. I'm not supposed to have anymore. Well, nobody's told me that, but stopping it has done wonders for my stomach not being a mess. It takes more, and this is very finely ground rice flour. So depending on the grind, you might want to give this more time to kind of expand if it's thicker, to everything to get the moisture to penetrate through. So we're going to start with a cup and change, because 1 cup is not enough. I've made this a few times, and it's kind of, I'll know it when I see it. Still 150 grams, not quite 1 to 1. And we're going to see where this gets us. It may be enough. I might be a little bit under. It's required that you get baking stuff everywhere when you're making a recipe. So first, you can do this by hand if you don't have a mixer. You can use a stand mixer if you really want to, but I don't think it's necessary. First, we are going to get our wet ingredients blended together. They don't have to be super incorporated. I just like to get that egg beat up and into everything. And it never hurts if you whip a little bit of air into this. That's what the baking powder is in here for. And that is good enough. We're going to give this a quick jangle to get the baking powder more than anything mixed in. Let's get everything incorporated. You can use a fork. I just didn't want to dirty another dish, so we're using a spatula. Mix wet into the dry. And to avoid a powdery, explosive mess, by putting my mixer directly in here, we're just going to start by hand, getting everything a little wet. And back into the mixer. Now, a lot of people have different opinions on cornbread. Some would be angry that I put any sugar in this. Some might even not like the fact that there is a non-corn flour in here. So I think that's pretty rare. Some will insist that I have to do it in a cast iron. Not gonna. There are a lot of, just like with chili, there are a lot of people out there, their way of doing it, and that's the right way. Do it however you like. I'm giving you a template that you can look from. Baking, a little more precise, you do need to kind of follow in each ratios. But to do all egg whites, I have done another recipe that uses yogurt and no wheat flour, but it's weirdly sour to me. Like the first, if you eat it right out of the oven, it's kind of nice, but after that it just got weirdly sour to me, and it seemed to not incorporate super well. So I made a mistake by putting my mixer away. I don't know if it drips you down now. So we're going to put our eyeball thing. Come on, this one. That, to my eyeball, not quite enough. Oh, you're too heavy. Don't do that. Apparently your one spatula is too heavy. That's kind of funny. We're back in with rice flour. We did 150 grams earlier. Add 20, 25, make it 175. It definitely says 25 and not 26. Let's see what this looks like. Look, I hit the release button on my mixer bias here. It says little thing is flying. Oh yeah, this should be good. So what you're looking for here is the texture. So I would say start with 150 grams and see if it looks roughly like this. This is about what we want. Can you see this all right? Let's get you in a little closer. So this is what we want. And you want to let it sit for a minute or two because it is going to kind of get like this on its own. You can see these bubbles from the baking powder activating. Okay. Put our scale away. And the last step before baking is that we need to grease our pan. Normally I would use butter, but I forgot to get the butter out of the fridge. Depending on the time of the year, the butter stays in the fridge or it lives outside. We get really hot summers here, so through, I don't know, maybe in May, starting in May, maybe through into November now, the butter needs to mostly live in the fridge so that it doesn't go rancid. I prefer unsalted butter, which of course does go rancid more quickly. Salted butter, a little bit more enjoyable. Always take the butter sticks in the steak. And now, we're just going to get all that in here. And that oil is just to make sure it doesn't stick, for one, but it's also going to fry a little bit on the bottom, give it a nice golden brown. You could actually preheat this pan, but I've never done it with this recipe. Especially if you're using a cast iron pan, a lot of times you will put the cast iron pan in the oven with oil in it, almost like you would a Yorkshire pudding, I think. And then pour the ingredients into that already hot oil, which will really hard fry the bottom of it. It's really nice texturally, but not worth it to me. There we go. When the oven tells me it's ready, that goes in. 23 minutes. We'll check it. That is based on my oven. Your oven may be different. Always remember that. Everybody's oven is a little bit different. I did not hear the oven, but it is ready. Into the oven on our rack. Close the door. 23 minutes. See you in a little bit. And it has been a little bit more than 23 minutes. I was busy working on the chili. So I turned the oven off and mostly closed the door. That'll give us a little bit of coasting. But this is what our top should look like. Doesn't sound hollow. Which wheat it usually does, but this rice flour is denser, so it's not going to sound as hollow. If you have a cake tester or a toothpick, you can use that. I have a chopstick handy. That's Japan. Yep, comes off clean. That means there's no liquidy stuff on the cooked bits in there, which is what we want to see. So we are going to pull this guy out. And I'm going to let it chill on this rack. Normally I take this out. I take it out of the pan quickly and put it on the cutting board and usually jam it right in my mouth. But kind of want to test the texture a little bit of having this stay in the pan. Maybe get those edges a little bit more golden before we eat it. And we will be back when it is time to dig in. Snack. Serve with some butter or some chili, and you've got a good meal.